Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Click R3 number 23. It's good. It's a good day. It's a good day. I, of course, have Mystic Ryan, or just Ryan, with me today. Ryan, how's it going?
Doing well, John. Doing well. How about yourself?
Good. You know, you suggested so sometimes this happens where it comes up as like the timing of the podcast. When are we going to record? It's like every 2 weeks. Like let's try to thread the needle of like the sea of news and try to find a good spot. And you're like, hey, let's hold off because the PlayStation Plus stuff is probably going to drop, right? I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. And wouldn't you know it, we weren't even thinking about it, but the financials came out and they actually had some good info in there. And I was like, that's actually even better because PlayStation Plus was, I don't think, the big news of the even the last 48 hours, I'll say.
No, I totally forgot about the earnings announcement too, because I knew it was May 14th or something, but also we like get it because of the Japan time, so it shows up like super early. But I'm like, oh yeah, I guess we could talk about that too.
Yep. So it's there. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happened. Even the last of us. So also the last episode, I cut out The Last of Us and put it up as a separate one. And I thought about this a little bit because I saw a few comments, I'll say, where they're like, yeah, I wouldn't mind it being separate, so I know I'm not going to run into a spoiler or something randomly. Although we kind of sectioned it off, I thought, pretty well. But I mean, it's kind of a thing where we're only going to have two more today, and then next time is like the last two times we talk about Last of Us for a while. So it's like, I mean, I can cut them out and it can be a separate episode. That's fine. But I just want to let people know what's happening. So that was like a whole separate discussion on its own. That actually ended up being pretty lengthy. So maybe we'll do that again this time. Just because eventually, again, next time will be the last time we really even talk about Last of Us for, a year or more. I don't know when season 3 is going to be. So
Might be a while. Because I thought they were filming them both at the same time, but it seems like that's not happening. Or it didn't happen rather.
Seems like when you use Pedro Pascal, you always have like conflicts of schedule. Like he's in everything. I don't know how some of these actors, I don't know how they do it. They just show up everywhere. And it's like, how do you have the time to get around and to these sets and schedule? And it's got to be mayhem.
That's if they have work.
No, but I mean, like the ones where you see him all the time, like Pedro Pascal's all over the place. It's like, how do you do that?
Right. If you're like a big name, then you're working constantly.
Yeah, that's crazy. But I assume the scheduling conflicts are all over the place too. So, but that I think that's the plan. We'll separate it out when we talk about the Last of Us episodes again. So there's so a lot of stuff to talk about from the last episodes there too. But I can only imagine what Ryan's sheet looks like over there because there's a lot of stuff that happened the past couple of weeks. I do want to bring this up, Ryan. You saw it that I posted on X.
Which one?
The Stranglehold gameplay.
Yeah. Well, it stuck out to me right away. I'm like, oh, that's Stranglehold. And it's a very unique style of gameplay.
I started playing it again. I was like, because it came up in conversation, I think with Nate. We were talking about it. I was like, I remember Stranglehold. That was because I have it up on my shelf. I was looking, I was like, that was the game back then in 2007, like action third person bullet tequila time everywhere.
I forget that they called it
play this thing.
I forgot they called it tequila time too. It just if time slows down, it's like bullet time, but they called it tequila time in that game.
Tequila time, yeah. they have like the sniper elite slow down sniper shot in there too. But you know what was really impressing me as I was playing it, because this is something I forgot, dude. The destruction in that game is crazy. Everything shatters into pieces and explodes, and I'm playing on the 360. I have it on the PS3 as well. It's right there. But it's amazing to me to think back on these systems doing that. And now we talk about how so much stuff is just static in our games currently, just backgrounds, environments, whatever, in most games. This thing, I like, everything is just exploding around me.
See, the thing I always took from that game is that it felt like almost like it was structured like Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam. Like everything is like, like there's always railings to go down.
Yeah.
So you can slide like a grown ass man sliding down 50-50 down the rail to like akimbo shoot these fools. And then there's always just like a food tray in the middle of a courtyard for some godforsaken reason, but you're supposed to belly flop onto that and then tequila time your way through that courtyard. Yeah. It's just the most perfectly placed nonsense. Just like, it's like you said, the game's ridiculous, but it's ridiculous in the most fun way possible.
It feels like that convenient movie set You're watching an action movie and you're not supposed to ask questions about why this is here and that's there. And it's like that. It's like, okay, yep, I'm going to drive down this rail and then I'm going to land on the dolly perfectly. And I'm going to slowly roll across while all the enemies miss me and I shoot them perfectly.
Oh, it's John Woo. It's John.
Yeah.
Come on, John.
And then you get to the end and they have the railing and it's like, you're going to grind up the railing. It's like, what? Okay. And then you just run up the railing. It's like, I could just go up the steps, but nope, I'm hopping on this railing. I'm balancing and running up. It's great. Fully recommend it.
Yeah.
It's $10 on GOG on PC and a potato can run, like anything can run it. So that's DRM free. I mean, I fully recommend it if you don't have an option to play it on PS3 or 360 because it's not backwards compatible. There's got to be crazy amounts of licensing around that thing.
Yeah, that game is probably I would say it's stuck. Console wise, it's stuck. However, John,
you know the studio who worked on that?
What?
Did you see? Do you know the studio that worked? I wanted to look into some of the background for the game too. It was pretty funny. The studio that worked on it was of course at I think it was WB, and they ended up renaming it after they were done with Stranglehold, and they went on to make Mortal Kombat 9.
Oh,
it was NetherRealm Studios.
Oh, NetherRealm?
Yeah.
Wait, so
I had no idea.
What was their name previously?
It was, I had it. I don't want to misspeak on it. Real quick, let me pull this up.
That does happen often. A lot of studios will do like a rename.
Midway Studios Chicago.
Oh, Midway. Okay, so it's like when they had like different offices and they name it Midway Austin or Midway this.
Yep, Midway Studios Chicago, and they went on to become NetherRealm Studios.
Oh no shit!
Pretty funny, small world, right?
There's so many examples where you run into that, and it's like, oh wow, I didn't think that studio was responsible for that game. What was the one I just ran into recently? It's Playground Games. I just covered it. And well, they went on to do Forza, obviously, but Playground was involved in, I think, Tornado Outbreak or something. I can't remember exactly. It was weird stuff.
Oh, weird history. Go look up FromSoft's history.
Well, yeah, FromSoft did like a billion things, which is always will really surprise people. I know they're like the Soul Studio, but you'll be shocked at what they did. Like Cookies and Cream, for crying out loud. 2-player like bunny and was a bunny rabbit game or something like that. It's like a local
weird stuff back then.
It's a very bizarre game. Now I'm waiting for you to ask me about Rebirth. I did.
All right, how'd it go, Ryan? How we doing a Rebirth?
Oh, thank you for asking, John. I made it to Gongaga, so now I'm gonna spend the next month there. And
oh my God. Hey, you're getting your money's worth out of the game. I'll give you that.
I'm desperately trying to like just see the main story done before Death Stranding 2, and I think it will happen. I think it'll happen.
Right around that game's gonna be crazy.
Yeah,
that's my most anticipated game right now is Death Stranding 2.
Well, we got a lot to talk about that later as well, but you want to knock out some boring news stories first?
Sure. Let's see. Let's hear them.
Very boring stories. Well, we have PS Plus, the thing we delayed the show for. So PS Plus Extra. PS Plus Extra May lineup, John. May, going live on May 20th. Not a lot of games. Sandland, Soul Hackers 2, Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted Full-Time Edition, Battlefield 5, Stalker, Legends of the Zone Trilogy, Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, Humankind, Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life, and Gloomhaven Mercenaries Edition. That's extra. And then premium, a single lone PlayStation 2 game, Battle Engine Aquila. How you feel about that?
Yeah, apparently that game's good.
It is good. I mean, if you look into it was reviewed well. I never played it.
Neither did I. I wasn't aware of it. I typed it in real quick just to see what it was. And their retrospectives are like, oh, this game was awesome. It's just no one played it. It's like, oh, well, yeah, that would do it. So on one hand, it's like, hey, they gave us a game that's kind of like that hidden gem status that we wouldn't have really paid attention to much until this blog post went up. But the other hand, it's like, man, one PS2 game, huh? Okay. I mean, that was it. It was like the lone entry. It's like, oh, okay.
That's the brutal thing. No, I'm right there with you. I think it's actually I love when they do shit like this. The sort of random, never heard of it, have to look it up kind of game to expose people to this random thing that somebody would have otherwise never even played or known about. Cool. It still doesn't feel great when it's the only thing for the whole month. My God, I just wish we could get like at least, because some months it's 3. which is, I mean,
right?
God forbid.
Mhm.
I'd love to see it like 5 games plus every month, but I just don't think we're ever going to get there.
No, I was wondering because this is going live May 20th. There's any shot that there's some kind of I mean, people are calling for a showcase or something this month. And typically they do something towards the end of May,
Yeah.
somewhere in there maybe. You think there's anything that they have up their sleeve there that's like, hey, this is kind of offset from the typical release games? Like they could release it right during that showcase or like that week or something, and then it slots in for the premium day one release or something like that. Like how they did Armored Core. They're like, look at all the Armored Core games going in. Look at this. I was trying to figure out it because it feels like there is a missing entry for premium right now. Like something's not there that should be there.
No, this sounds just about right.
No.
one game. So we'll see. I mean, because that is noteworthy. We're not hearing a whole lot about that potential like end of May event. If that even is going to end up happening, but presumably whenever they do say something, they might do something similar to what they did with like Time Splitters or the Armored Core games. Just like, hey, these things are coming. All 3 of them. They'll go in at the same time.
Yeah, just it seemed very quiet for that premium section. That's all. Just it stuck out to me.
Extra's kind of quiet too. I mean, does anything stand out here to you? Like maybe Soul Hackers and I guess Battlefield 5, Grand Blue.
I mean, Land is interesting enough, but I don't think it's moving the needle for most people. I've been looking at that game here and there, but just so much stuff is hitting right now. It's like, great, now this is here. But I have other stuff that's pulling my attention right now.
Yeah, that's fair. There's a lot of stuff coming out lately, so there's no shortage of good games to play still.
That's true. A lot.
Moving on to a small little announcement. Apple Pay now available on PS5, so you've got another way to give Sony money. I do think that's actually quite handy just in that I believe I haven't tried it yet, but that should be something where like you don't have to have your credit card attached to PSN anymore. So you could like remove your payment method. And then from that point on, when you make a purchase, you just have to scan with your, Face ID from your phone, and the payment method, that transaction happens through Apple. So you could, I think you can remove your payment method from PS5 if that sits better with people, but that should be live on PSN now.
I mean, I see people trust Apple all the time. I'd be in line and someone comes up with their phone and just hits the machine with it and it's fine. I'm like, geez, I don't know. For me, I'm still kind of that old person who's like, I don't know if I want to use my phone for that, but
yeah, you pull out the credit
card. I still got the card. I'm ready.
You still go for the swipe. Don't even do the chip anymore.
I do the chip. I mean, the banks basically make you have a chip. I feel like I haven't swiped a card in a long time. It's been a minute. I can't believe it still has it.
I was going to say, like, how old fashioned are we talking here? You're trying to swipe and all these cashiers are telling you to put the chip in?
I remember back when it was a while ago, back at the store for some big purchases, you would do the swipe for the card. This is like, oh gosh, this one was at GameStop. Some purchases, if it was really big, like let's say come in 360 or PS3, all this stuff, it's like $1,200 or something. You do the card stuff, you scan it, it goes through, you get the ink and the paper thing out. You put the card underneath of it and you got to roll it. So it takes an image kind of the card and you got to attach it to it just in case there's fraud or something involved. That was the thing. You had to like get the roller out and like,
yeah, just write a check. Write a check.
That was even worse, but we didn't take checks.
Well, I mean, that's a payment method though.
I remember, I think at one point, one of the managers did take one. And they got like chewed out by the district manager. Not allowed to take those.
Can't bust out the checkbook.
Nah.
Think about that, John.
Breaking that checkbook at the cash register now.
Kids growing up today don't have to write checks. Never will. Maybe unless they have to buy a house or something. I think you still have to use checks.
Yeah, you still have to write out a check for that. Yeah. You do have to do that. Some bills, I get the gas bill and it's like $8. They're like, check. It's like, what? Okay. I got to give you a check for this.
Can I just Venmo you?
It's so old fashioned for some reason in this area.
Oh boy. Next up, we have a new widget that's in beta for the Welcome Hub. I somehow got this. I don't know how. There's very few times where I end up getting things like, obviously Sony themselves are not like specifically doing this for me. It's just automated, but I was automated to get this beta. So just one little small new widget for the Welcome Hub. It's a recently played widget. So you could just, tile through your games that you recently played, and it just shows you like recent trophies, rare trophy, time played, friends that played that game captures. So you cycle through it with L1 and R1. You can resize it to small, medium, large. So just like that's like the latest widget that you can add. Seems pretty handy because like near the end of the widget, there's a weekly roundup. So it shows you like the multiple sessions you had, the multiple games you played, which one you played the most of. Just one of those small cursory things that like is great to see on the landing page. So I feel like that one's going to go in rotation for me, but it's in beta server side. You either get this or you don't. You have to sign up for Sony's beta program. So if you don't have it, I can't imagine it won't be too long until everybody has access to that.
I saw you. It looks like you had on Let's Talk PlayStation.
Yeah.
I was looking at the example. Then I clicked on your shorts, and you've hooked everything up to this little Sony Trinitron, man. He needs to breathe.
Somebody let me borrow that TV, and I was like, this is cool. I don't know what I could really say about this for like a full video, and I'm like, you know what? Let me mess around with shorts. Let me just boot up a bunch of consoles on this thing.
Start up just do all. Yeah, that's true. Just do the boot up. That's fine.
It's a 5-inch Sony colored Trinitron from 1986. I was like, yeah, this is cool. Let me put a PS5 Pro on this thing. I'm not even gonna front. When I booted up Returnal on that, I just was like straight up playing Returnal, and like all the cameras like ran out of battery, and I was just still playing it. And I was trying to beat the first boss from that TV. It's so that you can't see anything.
Oh, the projectiles on screen too. Oof,
I was so close to beating the first boss. I died like at the last little sliver of health. I can't see. Couldn't see anything. Well, that's hell of a tangent. So if you want to know what I'm talking about, those are some shorts I uploaded.
Over on his, it's on his channel under the shorts tab. You can check it out.
Yeah, that was a dumb idea. Actually, those are only some of the small stories. I mean, the order I've got it in right now. I thought we'd at least acknowledge GTA 5 right away. So got the new trailer. Game was delayed.
GTA 5. You're playing GTA 5 now?
Oh, excuse me, 6. Good Lord, John.
I did go back and start. I just start playing through GTA 5 again. Go ahead.
We've had 5 for so long. It's still hard for me to say 6.
I get it.
So 6 was delayed. Does that surprise anybody?
No, it doesn't. No.
I was hoping. If only because like my sales prediction for the console was like heavily weighted, and if the game comes out on time or not. So that's out the window. It's delayed to May 26th. As far as PlayStation goes, it was running on a base PS5. The trailer came out on a Tuesday. It's weird. Like they delayed it on Friday. They wait the whole weekend, go to Tuesday, then here's trailer 2. Any reason for that? Why wouldn't they just like put out trailer 2 right away? And
I assume because with Friday, a lot of the people who would have been answering questions, PR and everything would have been gone home that afternoon for the weekend. Right. And then so I assume they had launched it earlier in the week to deal, because they actually were responding to a lot of stuff. There was that section of, the trailer is a mixture of in-game cinematics and gameplay. Like they had to put a statement out about that, which I mean, that is kind of like a low-key flex about your trailer. It's like, that's how good it looks. People can't believe that this is actually running on the system. That's pretty impressive.
Oh, they felt inclined to say it. It seems like, because there has been a lot of consternation surrounding it. So, are you sure it's a base PS5? Well, it says PlayStation 5.
Yep, base PS5.
That transparency is always there too. I mean, typically with like a lot of SIE first party stuff, once like the Pro console showed up for 4, like everything was running on PS4 Pro. And they tell you that every trailer was running PS4 Pro. This case, they're saying base PS5. I mean, we were always saying too, like they've probably got marketing rights. Probably. I'm not sure if this like really like solidifies it, but I don't even know how necessary it is for Sony to get the marketing rights, because I feel like Rockstar or Take-Two are just going to naturally find their way to the PS5, because I mean they're selling on console. So you look around and go like, okay, what's the leading console right now that we can ship this thing on? Well, it's the PlayStation 5. Not even like the PS5 Pro, as you mentioned. They weren't like, hey, capture on PS5 Pro. They absolutely could have and probably made it look even better, at least sharper. No, it's base PS5. That's legitimately the largest audience we have to sell to right now. So let's show it on that. So I think Sony would probably be smart to at least attempt it, but also in a sense,
they probably don't have to do anything because Take-Two and Rockstar are going to probably align themselves with the best-selling system right now anyway, just to make sure at the very least to let everyone on the PS5 who owns one know, yes, this is running on your system, and yes, it's coming to it next year.
I mean, they've been very close with Rockstar with all these like bundles and that GTA 5 partnership at the PS5 launch. So yeah, you're right though. I mean, they don't. It's weird. They don't really have to do. Neither of them have to do anything, quite frankly.
Right. Yep. But that just means the leverage isn't there either way. But that doesn't mean you couldn't have like a smaller deal for marketing that's like, hey, when you show GTA 6, let's go ahead and have the end card be it sitting down next to the PS5 or something.
Did you see in the trailer? There's like a few stills where like it's the ammunition commercial where Jason's on the couch and it's like there's like basically like a parody PlayStation 5 on the next to the TV. And there's like
I thought that was funny. It was like a DualShock 4 too, right? Wasn't there?
Yeah, there's like DualShock 4s on the countertop. I mean, they always do like pop culture references. PS5's very much that, but
yep.
I mean, would you think that's like in the Series X version? I don't know.
I mean, I assume so because it's basically like their Okama Game Sphere kind of thing. It's just, they just made it up and they're like, oh, it's just this white console with the blue light and it's super generic looking kind of thing. It's supposed to be funny.
So, the Okama Game Sphere.
Yeah. it's not like, oh, this is definitely a PS5. It's just, hey, we're doing a parody, a knockoff system or whatever, just to be funny.
That happens though, like when there's mock systems in games. When they go to competing platforms, like they change them out.
They could. I mean, they absolutely could.
Yeah, assuming they resemble like the console it's supposed to be on or whatever. But that was like funny too. Like, oh, look at that. That's a very weird looking PS5.
Super detailed though, visuals. It's crazy. People are like zooming in everywhere, and it's like I don't even know why you would do it other than just to, I guess, just to say you did it. Like the bubbles fizzing on the beer bottle, and
it's impressive looking. It's unbelievably gorgeous looking. And I'm also a huge Grand Theft Auto fan, so I don't get to talk about it often, but like absolutely I cannot fucking wait for this game. Just a shame that like it's a year out, but they were willing to put a date on it. Now the question is, do they hit that date?
I kind of feel like they do just because they said it now. They're like, hey, like they were going to try to make it out this year. And I feel like right now they're just doing polishing phase. Like, let's make sure this thing looks as good as possible and it's not broken necessarily when it comes out. I kind of feel like that's where they are currently. So them being now still more than a year out, technically, like a year and 2 weeks or something out. I think they'll have enough time. I feel like they'll get it done. I do.
I'm inclined to say the same. I think if they're willing to put a date on it, then there's maybe a good chance it will end up coming out on time. Gives them more time too to perhaps polish up a PS5 Pro setting for the game as well.
That's going to be a big, that could be a turning point somewhat for the PS5 Pro. I mean, I think in general, GTA 6 is going to just sell a stupid amount of consoles for Microsoft and Sony, but definitely Sony, especially if that PS5 Pro is, I mean, I don't want to jinx it. I would like try
40.
to will it into existence, a 60 FPS mode.
Oh, 40. I think 40 is like best case scenario.
60 FPS. Oh, 40. Okay. Well, 40 is like, it's something, it's like, okay. It's like that balanced mode, I guess, whatever it is. Yeah. If they could at least pull that off, that'd be cool. But they are using a lot of intensive features, we'll say, with ray tracing and stuff. So it's probably not going to happen, but I'm trying here. I really am. Everyone, I'm trying my best to will this into existence. 60 FPS on the PS5 Pro.
I feel like 40 is like, I don't want to say absolutely, but like it's got to be achievable. Especially like if your baseline console is a Series S. I mean, surely they've got to have some frame time to get like a 40 FPS mode. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. That Series S version is going to look crazy.
There's actually a rumor too later on in the show about Sony's sort of next big PSSR update. Yep. There's a very good chance that this might have been a good boon for PS5 Pro, assuming there is just that extra little wiggle room for Rockstar to maybe offer a pro setting, a good pro setting rather. I do also have a small rumor here for the, I'm sure you saw, John, the GTA 4 remaster as well, remaster port rumor. So that comes from Tez2 on the GTA forums. where they say Rockstar was hinting at the port coming, someone at Rockstar rather. So they've just got a source claiming that that game is going to drop later this year, and that it's one of the reasons why they took down that Liberty City preservation mod project. And they also mentioned that Max Payne 3 is getting a port after they do GTA 4. I guess what's noteworthy here, I mean, there was a rumor quite a bit ago about them looking at GTA 4 as a port, and one or two other games, if I recall correctly, and they opted not to because of the poor backlash from the definitive edition. If you remember that story from a little while back, but I guess the thing that just sticks out to me is that why have they not done this port? And also it's the game that's stuck on PlayStation 3. Like if we're talking about like PlayStation players where the game is backwards compatible on Xbox, you know, through their program, and it also runs at 60 FPS. I mean, this is something where I'd love to see this get a modern PS4 port, similar to even just Red Dead 2. Like or Red Dead 1 rather.
Right. To my understanding, it runs at 60 on the Xbox Series because the original version was just an uncapped frame rate. So it just crashes in the 60 the whole time with the Series X, or I guess even the Series S. But there seems to be issues, I guess, with certain QuickTime events because it's not necessarily expecting to be running at 60 frames. So It seems like there are some things they would have to clean up with that port, and does make me think that they would do some new version for the Xbox Series, like just kind of replace it with something. So I mean, it makes sense. That game, it's funny. We forget how old some of these games are. That game is 17 years old now.
It's very old. Then that like I still remember like that the launch for that game and the hype building up to it very well. Like that was kind of that. I mean, it wasn't the sort of time distance we're seeing with like from 5 to 6, but there was that mounting hype of like, oh, here's the new gen Grand Theft Auto on PS3 360. And I remember that first trailer with like the cars driving through Liberty City, and you can hear Nico narrating the trailer, and God, such a good time. I waited outside of GameStop for that game during launch. I was number 2 in line
for GTA 4.
Yeah, for GTA 4.
Oh.
We had like 100 people wrap around our plaza. And this is like, this is 08, right? So
yeah,
this is where Sony is still like getting their shit kicked in with PlayStation 3. So I'm the only PlayStation guy. Like I'm number 2 in line.
360. Yeah.
Everybody's buying the 360 version.
That's what I got it on, was 360.
Yeah. I'm number 2. I was repping PlayStation out there in 08.
You remember back then, Rockstar aligned with Microsoft in the 360. They're like, okay, yep, that's the system. Let's go. So that's what I mean. Like they kind of jump around a bit. They go back and forth depending on who's where, in the console space. But obviously it's typically been more Sony than Microsoft at this point. So I think this should line up well. But that's the other thing, you're reminding me now of the midnight releases. I'm thinking, man, GTA 6 might get that magic back a bit there.
100%. I don't see how. Yeah, for sure. For sure. If people are going to buy it physically, which people will, but there's certainly not that pressure that a lot of others would have had back in the day where they had to buy it physical. So that'll be interesting. But that's like one of those PS3 games. It's locked down. It's a point I always make. At a certain point, it's like we're just financing more and more modern ports. So, I mean, an emulation layer would always be great, but that's a big one. That is a big one.
It's been a while since I've played it. I wouldn't mind just checking in again on it, just to see.
Really? I played it 2 weeks ago.
Did you really?
PS3 online.
That makes sense. There's a whole, with the,
I play it again. I play it pretty much every year because it's still, Rockstar still has the servers up on PlayStation 3 and 360. So it's still pretty active. Free roam almost always has players on there. They're always at the airport doing mods because, I mean, it's just a haphazard like rodeo with a lot of these older PS3 games. So pretty much always the lobbies are modded in some way. But that rumor stuck out to me. I'm like, oh my God, well, hopefully they finally do it, even if it's kind of a whatever port similar to Red Dead 1. I hope they don't cap the frame rate. Don't cap the frame rate.
They'll probably cap it at 60, right?
Well, if they cap it at 30 and then they have to do a patch afterwards.
Oh yeah, no. Are we gonna do for GTA 6, Ryan? We gonna do whatever their GTA Online is?
Hey,
we gonna roll with that?
We'll try. We'll make a character, go through. I call dibs on Lucia.
Okay. I feel like you make your own character, right? Now we do with GTA
Probably.
Online, make your own character, and
probably.
we don't know what that even is going to be. That's going to be nuts. Whatever they've come up with there, I feel like.
The thing is, like, it's not going to, they're not going to like launch it day one. It's going to be story mode first, and then
probably 2-3 months later, it'll be online.
And then the servers will get slammed. You'll have that.
Oh, dude, it's going to be crazy.
That looping error where you're trying to get out Lamar's car from GTA 5.
Yeah, do the people out there want to see Ryan and I take on the mean streets in GTA Online when it comes out?
Yeah, because we're
empire.
Yeah, the two whitest guys go building an empire.
We got it covered.
the streets of Leonida or Leonida, however you pronounce it.
Hey,
oh man,
let's go.
Let's move on to some business news here. A lot of business news going on in the world of PlayStation. So first, we do have to mention that Sony finally confirmed the name of their new spin-off Bungie studio, the one that is working on Project Gummy Bears. So they're called Team LFG. And John, it does not stand for Let's Fucking Go.
They were like, oh, you wait till you hear what it stands for. It's like, what do you mean what it stands for?
It's such a bad name. I don't know how they decided this. It's called Team LFG, Team Looking for Group.
Does that not sound like they were like, how do we speak to today's youth?
I don't know what the thought process was.
When you read that out loud, does it sound like when your parents would try to take an interest in what you're doing and say pwn to you over and over again? That's kind of what it looks like to me. I'm like, there's a bunch of old guys who are like, oh, LFG, yeah, that's it.
Well, they know what that sounds like to most people. So I don't know what the thought process was here. They're not that out of touch. I don't know. Anyway,
I mean that the title of the studio says otherwise.
The point is, formal announcement, a lot more formal than what we saw from Jason Blundell's team, where he just announced that on Jeff Gerstmann's podcast. So a reminder to folks, this is the spin-off Bungie team. So this was an incubation project at Bungie. They were working on this game called Project Gummy Bears, and it was this like team-based MOBA, very colorful, lo-fi aesthetic. And I guess at a certain point, they decided to spin it off into its own studio under PlayStation Studios proper. So it is its own studio now, its own name. What I found interesting about the blog post on the PlayStation blog is that the post was written by Herman Hulst, and nobody from the team was like attached to the name of the studio. You know what I mean? Like it just said Team LFG at the bottom for the quote. So I sort of feel like they're trying to not, I don't know, put that many names attached to the studio just in light of what happened with Concord and some of the backlash right there, which I think is actually a good call to maybe protect some of the staff right now, just to not get too much backlash.
Well, that's what if you look at, like, this has been happening a bit more and more. I've noticed it a lot with Nintendo, where people are like, who's making the game, and they don't want to tell you until the game's out. Basically, they're like, you can look in the credits when it comes out. Like, they don't want to put a spotlight on somebody while it's in development. I think part of that, you're right, is kind of the social media pressures and the public back and forth and stuff. They're like, look, don't worry about it. We don't want even that affecting the psyche of the people. Where we've seen that before, where there can be some craziness online over it. It's like, nope, you'll find out when the game's out, and you can look in the credits for yourself, because to Nintendo, hey, the game's out, what do we care, kind of. But I think maybe that is a good approach for Sony. Hey, we got a pseudonym for it. You'll find out when the credits roll.
It seemed like a conscious decision, definitely. They did provide a quote here on what their game is, which it's very similar to what Bungie said about this project before. So they say, and I quote here, "Our first game is a team-based action game that draws inspiration from fighting games, platformers, MOBAs, life sims, and frog-type games. Players will inhabit a light-hearted comedic world set in a brand new mythic science fantasy universe. We can't wait to reveal more." Can you tell me what a frog-type game is?
A frog-type game?
Mm-hmm.
I assume...
I want to hear it from you.
From me?
Yeah.
Frog-type game. Well, this is their Gummy Bears game, isn't it?
Indeed it is.
I feel like this is the frog-type game being sort of that Smash Brothers type game, where you can be kind of squishy and get knocked way off the board. But then it's supposed to be a MOBA game, too.
Well, that's one of the rumors is that it does have a knockout system. See,
Right.
I think very literal. I hear frog type game and I think of frogs.
Like jumping, or just you mean like there's gonna be a frog?
I
You mean a frog?
I think of frogs.
What if it's just frogs?
I just think of frogs. Like
Well, the way I've seen it with this stuff, it's going to be PC as well.
it will. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For what I've noticed, when you try to get into these spaces where you're trying to lean into the almost the esports kind of thing, right? Not necessarily the meme games, but the esports stuff. You want lower system requirements. I'm kind of thinking the frog would lend into an art style that they would choose that I don't say Fortnite aesthetic. It's not gonna be a serious like aesthetic. I'll say that it'll be. So maybe frog does lend itself well to that, like actual frog characters.
I just hope there's frogs. I don't know why this is so funny to me. Frog type games. Okay, so like Frogger and Frogun, like I don't know. What are frog?
It's a MOBA games? Smash Brothers game, something like that.
I'm sure there's an actual description for it, but like my dumbass head, I can't disassociate from actual frogs. So
it'd be crazy because this came from Bungie, this incubation project. What'd be crazy to me is if Marathon falls on its face, but this frog game does incredibly well.
Hey, come on now! I'm a huge Frogger fan. Let's go. Let's go.
I'm just saying, it's like so much in Marathon, and it ends up being some weird, quirky game that just takes over online. It's like that. I mean, not Helldivers 2, because you look at that, you're like, okay, this has potential, but clearly Sony wasn't like, oh, this is the one right here, this is it. But now they're like, oh, Marathon, push that out there, get a lot of people looking at it. Watch this other like almost underdog game show up and just be really good.
Well, I think they are thinking that. Otherwise, they wouldn't spin it off to another studio.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm saying. So you know how we'd get like the magazines and you'd put the big game on the cover and stuff. Marathon seems like a game that they would put on the cover. We need to see this game, but the way they're describing it, I don't know if it's one they put on the cover.
I think by the time there's more press around it and they're ready to like show something, that it would be a front page kind of game.
Sure, we definitely need to see it. We definitely need to see it.
Yeah, this is a studio announcement. We still don't actually have any footage. There's like 2 concept art images that are thrown around out there, and it looks very colorful. That's kind of the vibe they're going with. So,
yep.
We will see. It does sound like, I mean, there's not a lot of rumors, but there's been the suggestion that like they might have something to show in like a year or 2. So, I don't know. We'll see. There's that though.
Like playtesting was going on for it though, like just the way some of the people were more in tune with Bungie, and then it got technically removed from Bungie and put into Sony. But it seemed like they were just playtesting it and having fun with it. So
it sounds like it's fun. There's optimism around it.
That's all you need. If it's fun, you can work with that.
As long as there's frogs.
Okay, there are frogs. Okay, I hope that stands for something. It's like an acronym for something.
No, I want a goddamn frog in there. Ribbit. We got Sony's financial earnings report. Now, this is for fiscal year 2024, so it covers Q4, which does end up to March 31st of this year, since their fiscal year runs into the following year. But we do have the full year. So some typical boring Sony financials. However, this report is very important given that we are also in the midst of U.S. tariffs. So we do have some comments on that as well. So a number of things to list off here. Sony sold 2.8 million consoles during Q4. So that's from January 1st to March 31st for that fiscal year. That's down 4.5 million year on year, but and that's for the quarter. But that brings the worldwide total to 77.7 million PS5. So it's still trending about 1.4 million consoles behind PS4, but they're still doing reasonably okay, it seems. The digital software ratio was 80% for the quarter, which was a previous peak that they matched in Q1 fiscal year 2024. But the fiscal year average was 76%, and that is up from fiscal year 23's 70%. So a little bit more digital. Monthly active users was 124 million. That's up year on year, slightly down from the last quarter where that was a new peak of 129 million. Sales for the year were up 9%, due primarily to non-first-party game sales, add-on content, and foreign exchange rates. It was negatively impacted by a decrease in sales of hardware and a decrease in sales of first-party games. Operating income was a 43% increase for pretty much all the same reasons. Their fiscal year 25 forecast, they have adjusted it, and they're expecting an 8% decrease in sales, but a 16% increase in operating income. And that's based on the major positive impact of sales of first-party software. AKA, they're expecting that they're launching first-party games this fiscal year, which we already know there's a handful of titles that are announced. And so for the impact on U.S. tariffs, we do have some comments here. So broadly speaking, they're considering their options. They're not saying anything in concrete details, but they are saying that they're stockpiling inventory in the U.S., they're adjusting shipment allocations globally, and they are considering raising prices on certain products. And that goes for everything Sony does, not just PlayStation, but specifically for PlayStation. We do have Sony's president and CEO, Hiroki Totoki, saying that they are considering moving PS5 manufacturing to the U.S. As in it's possible. And they also called that an efficient way to get around the tariffs. But they basically stopped short of saying like that's something that they're for sure doing. Just they're speaking in very broad, this could happen kind of terms. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I was still working through the live stream before we started this, so there might be some other comments that I missed, but otherwise that's the long and short of it.
Yeah, the manufacturer in the U.S. comment, I mean, they basically said we're not prepared to do that anytime soon. So if they were going to do that, it's funny we talk about next gen stuff for games, like they're starting a PS6 development now for a game. They'd be starting up the infrastructure stuff for PS6, maybe even halfway to PS7 at that point. It would be a while if they decided to do it. And then you also have to think about what would it end up costing for them to actually manufacture the stuff in the US, where more than ever, obviously people are very price sensitive. And it's just crazy balancing act, because it's so clear based on Sony's actions, they do not want to raise the price of the US. Like, they're doing everything possible not to do it. Stockpiling systems, raising prices elsewhere, even before looking at the US. Accessory prices, I'm sure, will probably move up. Like, I feel like the console is like their last ditch break glass thing. Like, we do not want to go above $500 if we can help it. Even $400 to $450 was that was a whole thing on its own. So what if they had to go from $500 to $600? That's tough, dude, for the PS5. We just saw Microsoft do it with the Xbox, and I don't know why anyone would buy an Xbox right now. I'm sorry, I don't get it. Like, if it's $600 for the Xbox Series X, it's so hard to recommend that. It just is. And the PS5, while it of course is getting a lot of the Xbox games now, we're seeing it gets third-party exclusives, Sony putting out games here and there, we'll say, for it. But it's an easier sell than the Xbox, but still, that $600 tag, it's just hard in general to say, yes, you should get this game console now.
Yeah, you mentioned the Xbox, so we could just jump to that real quick. They did confirm a sales price increase, as you alluded to. So that was effective May 1st. So yeah, Series X is $600. All their accessories are going up. Series S, 1 terabyte is going to be $430. Series X digital is $550. The Series X 2 terabyte Galaxy Edition, which everyone loves, bringing this one up because it is $730. So it's more than a Pro. It's 2 terabytes, but it's a lot of money. And the adjacent news to that, so not to go off on a huge tangent, but they're shipping games on PlayStation. And they did confirm that this holiday season, games are going up as well. Select games, certain games. Now, what do they ship every year? Call of Duty. Are we thinking Call of Duty is 80? Yeah, it's 80, right? It's 80.
Yep.
So everything's going up. You're right, though. I mean, they don't want to increase prices of these consoles in the US. They're very, very reluctant. They did also point out, like, for allocation and production, like, this sort of what I was getting at before. Like, they have consoles made in Japan, they have consoles made in China. They don't want to raise prices. Maybe now there's always that sort of greedy angle of, well, if they increase them and if that really doesn't impede on sales, then that's a great excuse on a global scale to increase prices. And I'm sure a lot of companies are certainly considering that, but consoles consoles have always they were meant to be the affordable gaming option relative to PC anyway. I don't think they want to be like Microsoft right now and get stuck shipping a PlayStation 5 at $600. And that's only to, sort of Sure, they might make a little more money, but the tariffs are still a thing. It's still eating into their bottom line unless they pass that on.
Yeah, the issue they run into is we mentioned the tariffs. They're on like a 90-day pause right now.
Right.
So it's 30% instead of 145% for 90 days or what have you. But Sony is expected to predict essentially the next year. And like, well, okay, that's gonna be 90 days from now. And they technically have to, as like to be like fiscally responsible technically when it comes to investors and just try to give them shoot them straight. They have to look at it as it's 145% after the 90 days. So we just have to assume it's 145%. But they have apparently 3 months stockpiled for the PS5 is what they've kind of thrown out there. So you start whittling that down, they got to make a decision. And it's like, well, are we going to be in business for fun or in business for money? And the for-profit business is going to say we're in it for money, and then prices go up. But I will say, Ryan, as much as people online seem to think Sony is like really wants to raise the prices of the PS5 in the US, that's their biggest market. And they are currently on, remember we talk about the console sales, typical lifespan where it's a bell curve. All right. We're on the other side of it because the console sales that they had reported were down 30% from last Q4. So we believe now we are past the peak and we're kind of on that downslope. We're almost at 80 million systems. So it makes sense. You eventually start to run out of sales velocity because you've sold to your enthusiasts. You've sold to the people who are like holding out for the first or second holiday. And now you're on the back end where you're like, okay, we're trying to get to the people who are like, I'm going to wait for it to go down in price. That's how it works. You know, you get so many years into the generation and you expect the system to have become cheaper. We might be in a weird situation where it's going to be more expensive. And even so, the system just won't go down in price. They can't seem to get it under $500 for the disc equipped model, $450 for the digital. So they don't have that strategy that they've always used, where it's like, we're going to make the thing cheaper to keep moving systems at a decent rate. So my concern for Sony is the GTA 6 being delayed into next year. I feel like they are going to slow in sales a bit faster than they were expecting, and definitely will if prices go up. If prices go up in the US, I think it's going to be kind of a bit of a grind for them to move systems more than they're expecting.
Well, the thing is, we have the sales pace is only about 1.5 million consoles behind PS4. At that point in time, launch a line, PS4 had already seen a price decrease. So they're still, I would imagine, very happy with their average selling price, which was already right off rip higher than PlayStation 4. So I guess it's tough to say. I'm inclined to think that the price not increase because it hasn't happened yet, but the stagnation of price has already been priced in. As in PS4 would have already had a price decrease at this point in time, but they're still reasonably very close to PS4 sales pace. So that to me says like they're still on a very similar trajectory. The trajectory is the bell curve. I mean, you're going to see the year-over-year declines at this point. It's going to slow decay until we see it shoot back up with a new platform. But right now, it doesn't seem like it's they're trailing that far behind. But yeah, price increase would be not great. I would imagine that would certainly kick it much further back, or like that sales pace behind PS4 would start to get larger and larger,
Well, you assume if prices go up, just less systems sell. So they have it, their projection, I believe, for this fiscal year they're in now is 15 million PS5 systems to ship. So they're like, okay, we're going to now do 3.5 million less than last year. But if they were to move 15 million, that would put them above like 92 million systems. That's on pace easily for them to hit their 100 million mark. And then just, the cycle continues for Sony, another 100 million system. But it just, if I do wonder if the prices do have to go up and we're contending with a $600 PS5 disc model. I'll say $550 digital, just $100 increase across the board. I just feel like it's going to be a grind until GTA 6 launches. And then from there, we start talking about the PS6. And the price around that, I don't even know. Like, are
Yeah,
we going to launch with a $700 or $800 system subsidized?
that was the issue. Like when PS5 Pro is at $700, I'm like, okay, you're gonna have to discontinue that thing before PS6 shows up, because
Right.
otherwise everyone's gonna be sitting here thinking like, oh my god, PS6 is gonna be $700 or possibly more. You know,
Yeah.
I really don't know what it look. I think it's impossible for anybody to say. Obviously, the other angle too is like when Sony's saying like, oh, we could move manufacturing here. Now, are they saying that to appease like shareholders and sort of quell fears
I
because
think so.
they're just yeah, they're just dealing with the like a current administration that, I mean, you don't know if it's going to be around by the time PlayStation 6 is, launching or ready to launch. You know what I mean? Like it's tough to sit here and say like, oh, we're going to make that multi-billion-dollar investment to move manufacturing. It's just such a long-term implication sort of decision to make in the here and now based on something that might not be a problem by the time they need the factory online, or
Right.
to move. I'm inclined to say like they said that. I don't know like how much lip service that really is to shareholders.
I mean, like Nintendo had to moved manufacturing to Vietnam because in 2020 the three console manufacturers wrote a letter basically to the administration, was like, hey, we got to relax with these these tariffs or the fees and stuff on the way in from China, because it could be a serious issue in the entertainment gaming space when it comes to even, I mean, think about how much money gaming takes in right now in the US. It's insane. Like so many retailers, wholesalers, shipping, everything. So much stuff relies on gaming. It's billions and billions of dollars. It's like this could really do some damage. And that was over like 25% tariffs or something. So you kind of look around and go, man, Nintendo made the move. Maybe Sony looks and goes, okay, maybe we won't go to the US. Maybe we'll go to Vietnam as well. Maybe we'll go to Cambodia. Maybe we'll find a place where we can do this just as a just in case thing. If anything, maybe it kickstarted the idea, because Sony is in an interesting position if you consider Microsoft. Dude, how quick did they flip the switch for 600? They said the next day it's 600. That was it. Like it was that quick. How much does Microsoft right now care about selling an Xbox compared to Sony caring about selling a PS5? Like Sony is definitely like, oh my gosh, we have to make this work. Microsoft's like, if you buy an Xbox, that's cool. Right. I mean, it kind of is.
I think, well, yeah, the attitudes are certainly a lot different. The thing is, though, I mean, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't every Xbox out of China? Every like
Yep,
they don't really have. That's the thing. They don't have an option the same way Sony does, or the same way Nintendo did. I mean, that's like you make a great point. Who's to say they won't like move it to China or to India or something? Like
I think they'll find a good spot. Yeah.
At the end of the day, like it's it's the labor. The labor here would make the console astronomically more expensive. Don't even consider the fact that it's the logistical nightmare of like getting a factory online here to start doing it. It's like it's the initial cost to move everything over, and then the labor cost ongoing. I'm no expert, but like that's all that says to me, like they wouldn't actually do that.
I mean, a perfect world would be great if they make it work and everything was the same price and like great. Yeah, manufactured here in the US and create jobs for people and stuff. But I don't know if that's the reality that the economy would provide. I don't think so.
Right. And in an ideal world, I'd love for that to be the case. The whole sort of thing the tariffs are supposed to lead to is more jobs here. But I mean, the reality is it's just, this is how the economy's been working. This is what trade is. That's what the cheap labor overseas is. That's what all these companies do. We can't sugarcoat it. That's what they do.
Brings up the question of, would people like actually be willing to spend more money on something that's made in the US versus spending 40% less if it's made elsewhere, but it's the same product? Like, I do wonder how much people really care about that aspect when you get to the cash register.
I think there's been surveys done on that, and well, I don't remember any of the exact results, but if I recall correctly, it always sort of shows that like there's a certain percentage that is a decent size there, but by the time you propose what the price would have been if it was manufactured elsewhere, all of a sudden people start singing a different tune, you know?
Well,
And
it's like $1,000 in the US or $600 elsewhere.
well, like,
You know what I mean?
that's like, I don't know. It also gets down to that conversation of like supporting local business, excuse me, or
Mhm.
going to a Walmart. And like, everyone would love to support the local business, but you shouldn't feel guilty for looking out for your own interests. If
Right.
you as a family, you've got kids to support, depending on what your wage is, which as we can easily acknowledge has not gone up with inflation, you shouldn't feel guilty for going to Walmart and buying the cheapest thing that you can because that's how you have to live. It's sort of the same thing with like if you God forbid want a luxury and like consoles are a luxury, video games are a luxury, it's a hobby. Most people are going to want probably to pay less for the console. Nobody wants
Yeah.
no, who wants prices to go up?
No one.
No
No
one.
one is. We want them to go down. I did that video somewhat recently. I look back, I was curious 4 years into the PS2 generation and the Xbox and the GameCube, technically 3 years there. What were the prices, right? So I found a circular ad from
Yeah.
2004 or whatever. Dude, the PS2 was half off. It's $150 with a bundle. It's like,
Well, that's all.
man.
Well, that's also like just like where SOC and TSMC and where all those companies are and fabrication costs, and that gets into a whole other can of worms as to why they can get the prices down so much. But it was still so different.
It's
We're
crazy.
never going to go back to that.
Even the PS3, man. I mean, PS3 went from 600 to what, 300 on the Slim in how many years? It's like 4 years, something like that.
They did it reasonably quick.
That's quick.
Had to take a lot out of it. Also had to slim it
Yeah,
down.
but for a lot of people, I mean, again, let's face it, Ryan, for us versus many, they're like, PS2 and a PS. I didn't buy this thing for that. I'd get a PS2 for that if I want to play. I want to play PS3 games and Blu-rays. And they're like, all right, whatever, here you go, $300.
John,
And
I was talking about the 4 USB ports, the compact flash, SD reader, memory stick Pro Duo. I was talking about those things they took out.
what about the what is it? The special super CD? You just forget that too? Just throwing that to the curb? Man.
There's a lot of things they took out of it.
What are we doing around here?
Good question.
I'm curious because it feels like a situation where Sony would have to rip the Band-Aid off. And I don't know if it'd be as quick and just straightforward as Microsoft, because I feel like Sony is a little more concerned about rocking the boat than that, but
they're concerned.
Might come down to the press release at 2 a.m.
Well, yeah, they're concerned, but if it happens, you know how it's going down. PlayStation blog, Sunday, like at 3 a.m. or something. Just update to our business, and it's that black PlayStation, the white logo on a PlayStation back black round, and you get the new pricing effective Monday morning.
Yeah. Yep. That's
I'm going to go out
and make up $700 million across all of Sony. So
yeah, that was the number they gave out. They expect 600 million in tariffs this fiscal year. 680 million
across all of Sony, to be fair. Like, so
all
like
of Sony, yes.
But still, they got to make it up somewhere. So
all of Sony, but PlayStation's still like, I don't know. It's like 55, 60% of their bottom line. So
yes,
I mean, nowadays they recently spun off a portion of their financial services business, another portion that's not PlayStation. Like Sony is PlayStation. Oh, by the way, we sell cameras and lenses to Apple, and we have some Bravia televisions. It's kind of how it is.
Yeah.
Oh, we have music too. We have music
and pictures. They're doing the Zelda movie.
This is true.
That should do well.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's uncertain times, though, Ryan. Uncertain times. I will say this: if they show up 2 weeks from now and they're like prices are going up, I wouldn't be shocked. I'd just be like, "That's how it is. It's where we are."
I feel like if they do it, it's $50.
You think so? You think they'll just go up 50? Okay.
That would be like sort of in tune with the whole we really don't want to do this kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. 5 and 550.
I feel like 50 is like maybe like it's palatable. Wouldn't be good, but if like a disc console goes from 500 to 550, I don't know.
Do you think they go from 5? They go up from 5 to 550, and then do you think they announce their first $80 game this year?
Dude, it's like every time you ask me this, I keep saying no, but like, good Lord, we have another big publisher that stepped up and said it's happening. So
Yeah, some are kind of resistant to it. I will say that. Some like I've seen a couple of these third parties who are like, maybe not this year. So maybe it is next year thing for Sony, but that's another avenue they look to at least raise money for this, $700 million deficit they got to make up.
You raise a good point. Let's move on to this story. EA says no to $80 games for now. Recently, EA addressed this in their latest financial earnings call. The CFO, Stuart Canfield, said, and I quote, "From a guidance perspective, we have reflected no changes in our current pricing strategy at this point." So that's EA. Then we also have the recent, not the release, but the announcement for Borderlands 4, the state of play, all that press from Randy Pitchford. And so recently, Randy was at PAX East, and he did acknowledge what the pricing may or may not be for this game. He actually doesn't know because that is up to the publisher. So he said that decision is up to them, but pre-orders are going to open soon. And he's not sure if it would be the new price that Nintendo and Microsoft set. But he's just trying to reassure fans that, the budget of the game is more than Borderlands 3. We put a lot of love and energy into it. And so whatever the price is, he hopes that it's worth it. So you've got EA saying no for now. You've got Randy Pitchford not being able to really comment for sure if it's 80 or not. But it's Take-Two, and Take-Two, I mean, they're not shy of doing it. And arguably they might do it for Grand Theft Auto 6. I mean, but how long do you think EA is really going to hold off here?
I think next year. I think the following Madden and college football, I have to imagine those games are expensive to make because of the licensing, obviously around it, the likenesses. But the other aspect of that, though, is the more expensive even their games get, the less, again, as prices go up, you assume you're just going to sell less units. But they are technically positioned that they want to sell more units because, let's face it, there's microtransactions all over those things. Like they want more people to play these games. So the thing with that, though, is these sports games, how quick until they're half off? A few months as the season gets to its end. By Super Bowl for Madden, the thing is $30. And they usually will even throw an ad out there like, hey, check it out. If you're going for Super Bowl, this is like 50% off or something. So it's so hard with the sports games because of how fast they depreciate. But I feel like in particular this year, it's already kind of done for them. Like they already have Madden set up. They're ready to go with it. And if it's 70, how it's been, we'll still get microtransactions on the back end. We'll come back next year. But Take-Two is interesting because you do kind of feel like Borderlands is in that position where they would look for 80 with it. But next year, dude, GTA 6, definitely $80 minimum. It might be more.
It would be, I don't know if bold is the right word here, but like, it wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world if they came out and said this game is 90.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be shocked if it was 80 for the base, like the single player part of the game, and then another 20 for online. Technically, it's $100 game or something to like make a bundle out of it.
Wow, they charge for online.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are some people who maybe just want the online. They don't even want the full game. Like, I just want to get online and get on there. And then I have to imagine, dude, the shark cards or whatever, they probably have some craziness figured out for online to make money. Like
they've got a paywall online behind a base copy of the game at 80. Surely. I would think it wouldn't be years until they like untether online from 6.
They might even just do it so that hey, you can buy the base game and then shark cards and it's a $100 purchase. Something like that. I could see that too.
Do you think they offer shark cards day one? GTA 4, like GTA 5 online was not monetized immediately.
That's true. I'm just trying to think of ways they can get to their $100 version because I feel like they want to. Like anything they can do to get there.
Collector's edition.
Yeah, it's true. Collector's, digital deluxe, whatever.
Did 5 have one? 4 did. 4 had that lockbox, that safety deposit box.
Lockbox, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think 5 had one.
Maybe it was just straight up. Was it just straight up?
I don't remember a GTA 5 special edition at all. It is not coming to me. I think 4 was like the last time they did it for a mainline Grand Theft Auto.
Let's see.
I could be wrong, but That's usually
Is
how they
this?
like
Here it
you
is.
see.
Announcing Grand Theft Auto 5 Special Edition and Collector's Edition. Available for
Oh,
pre-order starting today. This was May 23rd, 2013. Let's see. The special edition includes the full retail copy, a steel book with exclusive artwork, blueprint map, special ability boost, stunt plane trials, bonus outfits, additional weapons. How much is it? Oh, and then there's a full collector's edition that has, what is that? Is it like a key? Oh, it came with the hat. It came with a hat and everything. Okay. The collector's edition is $150. The special edition is $80. So it's $20 more. So
I don't remember
there
this
you
at
go.
all.
I guess they can do it and get to $100.
I do not remember that even a little bit. Wow. 150.
Yeah. So they'll definitely do something
Well,
like that for GTA 6.
well, then yeah, they're probably they'll probably offer a collector's edition. I mean, same like with the EA stuff, right? Like the sports games, like yeah, they lose value quick, but like that'll still lose value to a value that was higher than what you've seen in previous years. So before it
Yeah.
instead of it being on sale for 30, it's on sale for 40. Oh, that looks a lot better than 80. They still got more money.
I still wonder if this $80 price, I mean, it's definitely something that a lot of us just in general are kind of like looking at hesitant more so than 70 because it's $10 more. Kind of feels like the publishers are sort of like that a little bit right now too. Sony, I mean, Ghost of Yote is that's $70, you know.
Yeah.
We'll see as we get into potentially a showcase and they start announcing bigger games. We'd be like, okay, that's definitely 80. You know, like Wolverine, Marvel license, that's definitely 80. Maybe it's next year or something. So I think for some of these, they need to get to 2026 and then they start planning out pricing then that way. But I see like the $50 Split Fiction doing really well, 4 million copies, right? And that's a game where technically you give somebody a pass for free. So the number of copies sold kind of double that almost for how many players to start. And then like Claire Obscure Expedition 33 has been doing very well, high reviews, but also it's been selling for a turn-based RPG. That's typically not a franchise that the vast majority sell a ton of copies. I'll say that compared to some of their contemporaries in the action scene. And I mean, Blueprints, that's another one that smaller title was a $40, I think $30, something like that. But it's done well. And now Mafia, the Old Country, is $50.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that idea because it's funny. $80 has made the $50 game look like almost the $30 game when it was $60.
You are right on the money. It feels like a $30 game.
Yeah, but I mean, it's crazy because it's 50, but it's like, man, that is like, hey, that feels almost like half off. Like I'm getting away with something here. I will get. I'm not even kidding. I'm not gonna say who it was. There was a name, okay, that I've talked to who was like, I might buy that just because it's 50. It's like, really? That's all? Okay, sure. I feel like there are people out there who, at checkout, are like, oh, that's 50, that's 80. Okay, I mean, this looks kind of cool. It's Mafia. I'll pick that up for $50, almost on a whim. It's close. It's close to the impulse buy territory. It's close.
I would think it's the new normal, and it's not like maybe it sounds crazy, but like it. I like that we have more variable pricing. It's just like it's the ceiling that's gotten higher.
Yeah.
But more often than not, like it's kind of cool that like you see something that comes out at 40, 30, 50. A lot of these $50 games are really punching above their weight as far as like content and how fun they are. So I like it. It's just that ceiling that keeps getting higher.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just, it's in the back of our mind when we see an awesome game that looks really expensive being shown and we're like, man, I want this game. But then at the end, you're like, I bet this is $80. Like, you just start thinking about it, like, I bet this is 80.
Ugh. $80.
That's where we are.
Bust out that wallet, John. Maybe Intergalactic.
I'm just gonna play Fortnite.
Well, that's plenty of people have that attitude too.
That's the plan.
Well, we have some other game news to go over now. Boring video game news. Another XDev game might have been discovered. This was spotted over on Recent Era by the user Uzu Pedro, where someone from XDev was apparently sharing job listings for their studio, Stellar Entertainment. Now, Stellar Entertainment had previously done a lot of racing games. So things like Need for Speed Unbound, Remastered, Burnout Paradise. They recently worked with SIE where they provided support on Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered. So this person from XDev was sharing job postings for Stellar Entertainment. And I guess they've only done this before for Firesprite, which is another SIE-owned studio. So it's one of those things where people are trying to maybe connect the dots on if this is another XDev project that's in the works, especially since right now, Stellar Entertainment on their site, it says they're working on a AAA arcade racing game built in UE5. So if they are working with XDev, if this is a PlayStation Studios funded IP, then what could that potentially be?
Bring on the May showcase.
I don't know if it would be announced that early. What stands out here is that if this person from XDev only ever shares job postings about studios they work with and their XDevs, that's external partners, then like it probably is an XDev game that we just found out about. Because otherwise, like people share job postings for each other all the time. It's like a brutal business where people are always losing their jobs and networking and things like that. But if they worked on Zero Dawn Remastered recently, maybe there's something there. Maybe they are working on something. There's been a lot of hope, speculation, and copium that we're getting a new MotorStorm. And
from what? From who?
From just people. From just people.
I feel like this is you.
No. Look, I'm definitely huffing it, but I'm saying like, just over the years, people always keep asking for a new MotorStorm. It's like, okay, well,
I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. I don't know. I don't think that's what this is, but I'd love to be wrong. But because there's this, and then we have the XDev leak from 2022. There's still another project on there we have not seen just yet. That was from Sumo Digital. It was codenamed Project Carbon. We still have not seen that just yet. That XDev leak was entirely genuine. Everything on that list was correct in hindsight now, because Until Dawn was true. DS2 was true. There was also the Twisted Metal project on there that was canceled. That's the only thing on that list that hasn't happened just yet. And I think the rumor around that game too was that was a racing game, or I think maybe open world action adventure. I can't recall exactly, but that's one XDev project that we could still see. And then there's this one that popped up. So just something to keep your eyes on, I guess. I certainly will. We'll track Stellar Entertainment and see what ends up developing.
Crossing the fingers for MotorStorm.
It'd be cool. I'm not hopeful though. Helldivers 2 got a new content update. One of those big content updates. It seems like it got a really big spike in player count. So there's like a bunch of new enemies, new ways to customize weapons. There's a new war bond that dropped today. I can't talk tonight. Jesus Christ. The Superstore isn't doing a rotation anymore, so you can just like buy any items that were ever available and they're in stock now. So big content drop for Helldivers 2.
Wow. Big pickup in player count.
Yeah. One of those big content drops for sure. So if you put the game down recently, or from that last one, which was called, I can't even remember. There was a content drop like 2 months ago now at this point, but this new one just came out. There's like a new enemy type called the Illuminate. And
the numbers over on Steam more than doubled. It looks like when it dropped. That's got to be like Sony's got to be loving this. Obviously, the fact that they can keep developing on top of this game, and every time they do, it just like you can see the numbers spiking consistently with these updates. People are still into this game. This is a game that has worked quite well for them. They didn't give us an update on number of copies sold with their latest, but I'm actually curious. Helldivers 2 is the one I'm really curious about because it seems like with the ongoing support, it just keeps drumming up interest.
Yeah, I don't know. They're so picky with sales milestones. I don't get why they don't put them out more often, especially for Helldivers 2. I can't imagine it's a number they're embarrassed by. Just tell people.
Yeah, I think Helldivers 2 is. I think it might end up being like one of the most impressive outside of Astro's Playroom, which is the GOAT of the generation, obviously. 77 million and counting.
I was going to say Playroom, so 77?
77 million and counting.
Helldivers 2 was indeed like one of their fastest selling, best selling games ever. It shot up the charts, or their own internal charts for published games immediately. It's crazy.
$40 game, by the way.
Yeah, $40 for a $40 live service game, which the short-term
Oh, don't
memory.
say live service too loud. People don't like that.
Hey, short-term memory. Oh my God, Concord died because of 40. I don't know. Well, that and a few other problems, obviously, but people seem to forget that $4 game did very well recently.
Can we just say Helldivers 2 looked fun and interesting, and Concord looked boring and
Well, yeah, like I said, a lot of problems. But like you had a lot of people out of the woodwork claiming $40 was also an issue too. Sure, it doesn't help, but
well, I think it's just because Helldivers 2 you can't really put alongside of it. Is there anything out there that's like Helldivers 2? Not really. It's kind of its own thing, right?
no,
Whereas you look at Concord, you're like, hey, this looks like some of those free to play hero shooter games I know of. Why is this one $40?
Well, like, as I said, a myriad of problems with Concord. It's just that easy target to pick as far as like when SIE does live service games, it seems like they really like the $40 upfront cost.
Yes.
I'm like, hey, we'll charge for it, but it's this complete thing.
Yep.
Next up, we have Death Stranding 2 press previews. A lot of stuff came out of this. A lot of stuff. I'm surprised they gave the press so much time with the goddamn game. It was like a 4-day event. They played up to 30 hours of the game, which we're hearing.
They all got to take pictures at the cool Kojima room.
Well, that's like mandatory. I think when you go there, you don't even get to like drink a water bottle or something. They say get in the white room right now.
They just put you in there by yourself, no one around, just turn the lights on, and you're just standing there in the middle.
Well, then Kojima comes in and you get his picture with him, and then they have you sign the wall, and I don't know. Then he shows you all his figurines, and then you ask for like some food or water or something. He says, "No, I got to show you this like cool mech that I got the other day." I don't know. It just seems like there's like a thing you do when you go to Kojima's house. It's interesting. But after all that's done, you get to play their games. 30 hours. Yeah. That's only like 40% of the game too.
So this is gonna be this is a rebirth situation for you, Ryan. I'm sorry.
Oh shit. So we got some details here, John. Apparently the story does unfold a lot faster in this game compared to the first one. So you get access to new equipment and structures earlier in the game. There's also a very similar Final Fantasy 16 time lore feature. So it's like this thing called the Corpus. You can bring it up and you could just use that to reference characters, relationships, settings. Maybe when they talk about Chiralium and you're like, what the hell is Chiralium? You can look that up real quick. I love that feature, by the way. I wish more like 100+ hour bullshit games do that because you forget
what you're doing
so easily. Yeah, I love that. So the game's got that. Bigger focus on weather, so natural disasters. You can run into floods, heavy winds, wildfires, earthquakes.
Avalanche looked crazy.
It looked super cool. Seems like there's more combat as well, so you can use gunplay against humans and the BT bosses. There are different BTs now, like BTs that can like actually look at you, so you're not just stealthing around all the time. There's a skill tree, so Sam can use that and gain proficiency for certain gameplay elements like the stability while walking on foot or the stealth and combat sections. The strand experience is still there, so things like dropping a ladder and getting likes and that whole loop is still there as well. But the other important thing to note here is that everybody was playing on a base console, so they were playing on base consoles performance mode. I mean, seemingly nobody really had issues as far as like, oh, I had frame rate drops or something. It sounds like the game looks and plays just fine. Those are some of the key things that stuck out to me.
Yeah, I'm ready for this one. My thing is though, I'm looking at these preview events. I want to look at the video for it stuff, and I'm like, I'm already on board with it. I really don't want to spoil much about this game. This is a game I would like to go in as unaware, I'll say, as possible with some of this stuff, because just reading through it and hearing about some of the ideas they're putting into it and how it could potentially be a 70 to 80 hour game for most people to play through. You mentioned the skill tree. Apparently the skill tree, as you do things, that fills up, that's part of the skill tree. So I guess it's just like if you're walking a lot and you're pulling off the balances, you'll get points specifically for that. Or you're filling up a bar that then gives you a point for it. So even just kind of your actions in the game are going to sort of build how you play as you go along with your strengths and weaknesses. The combat is interesting. I think people were going into this wondering if it would change from its original concept of you delivered packages, and that was kind of the mundane way to explain it. I mean, this is the truthful way. Yes, you're just delivering packages. It was the journey though, as you're doing it, that really added to it. I think people were wondering if Kojima do something crazy here. Doesn't sound like it, but I guess the added wrinkle of more combat, minute-to-minute combat at times, maybe better shooting, just more options in general, could add a layer for people who weren't as into the first game. I still think, though, you probably have to at least have somewhat liked the first game to want to get into this one. I mean, the concept's still the same. I don't tell you. If you want, I guess the spy thriller infiltration style. I mean, Fizzant somewhere off in the distance, but this looks like the game just for people who play Death Stranding, like Death Stranding. Sounds like it's that like turned up to 11.
That was my question. That was definitely my question, was would they, take this step forward and maybe transform what that first experience was all about, or if it is more of the same. It sounds more of the same. It sounds like it's still like just like the gameplay loop is indeed deliveries, which I'm fine with. But I think you hit it right on the head. If you didn't like that, then nothing's going to change for you here, probably. But if you like the first one, then full steam ahead.
What do you think about the setting, Ryan? It's in Australia and Mexico, apparently.
It is. It's in Australia and Mexico. It makes sense. The weird thing is, like, Kojima always tries to explain away those things. So, like, he was talking about
it's gonna be some crazy way to get there.
the plate gate is what he calls it, the plate gate concept. That's how Sam travels from Mexico to Australia, and he just felt like that environment was. He's like, we could do America again. But I don't know. He's like, I need a place that's big and sprawling, so Australia. I'm like, okay,
sure. All right, that'll work.
Yeah, that'll work for me. That actually goes into a separate thing. That's where he gave like this, I don't know, not excuse, but he's like, I have a concept for the third game, but I don't want to do it. He's like, if I use the plate gate concept, then we could do Death Stranding anywhere. But he's like, I don't want to do the game myself, but I have a concept for it. Which that I found interesting, if only because they own the IP now. So if they ever want to do Death Stranding 3 like that, I would think that's kind of up to them. It's not like a Sony thing.
Maybe. Okay, he says, I don't want to do it. I have a concept, but I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a protege at Kojima Productions that's like, hey, do you want to do this? I have a concept. Here it is. I'll lay it out, and you can kind of work with them. Maybe they could do 2 games, Fizzant and that, and 3 games, and then Microsoft's. Because look, it's pretty clear because he's talked about it. Like he wants to do film. He wants to do a film.
Oh, he is doing that.
But like, I feel like it's pretty clear because he does blend it with games a lot. That's like his whole career. I do feel like that's where his like real interest lies, but he's very good at making games, obviously. So you think about all the stuff that he'd be doing. It's pretty obvious then that he probably maybe just wouldn't have the time to do a third one if he's on to Fizzant. So that Microsoft's game, a film, maybe there is somebody there that can work on the third one if they decide to do it. I mean, if Death Stranding 2 does 10, 15, 20 million, they said players, but if it sells a lot, it's hard to not go, what would a third one sell then? Is it worth doing?
Well, I think he's in a position where he can choose not to do that third game. He's in his 60s too. Like that's a
good point.
Yeah, I would think the reason why he doesn't want to do a third game is, as you say, he's got other interests. He's like a pop culture nut. He loves media broadly speaking. That's why he wants to do it. I imagine he wants to do like more movie stuff because he's only got so much time left on the planet.
That's true. That's true. You start to realize, man, these dev cycles are getting longer and longer. And I only have so much time, as you mentioned, on the planet. So you got to make the decisions wisely there. Fizzant, I kind of wonder, though, Ryan, if Fizzant is like his swan song almost.
I'm pretty sure he said he's going to make games till he dies.
Yeah, but I don't know. It feels like the development cycle, especially as you get older, is just going to get harder and harder to keep up with and do, especially with how I'm sure. I mean, if you look at Death Stranding, and I'm sure Death Stranding 2 will show this as well, there is that level of, I don't say perfectionism, but like he's pretty serious about how this stuff's presented to where he would be the person, I assume, on set who does 20 takes for a very basic thing. And it's like, let's get this right. I do wonder how that weighs on you as you get a bit older. And then you also have all these people pulling you in all different directions for these different projects. Fizzant, just the way it's been described as, let's face it, his Metal Gear Solid. This is what it sounds like it's going to be. That's one you want to get right. That's one you want to be like, watch this, Konami, and you make that. I mean, let's be real. It's not like they left on good terms together. So
that's why he's doing Fizzant.
I think he really just, it's very clear. I'll say misses what he did with Metal Gear Solid, but like, it's very obvious he likes that spy thriller mixed with supernatural, almost sci-fi elements. People thought Snake was in the Death Stranding 2 trailer.
He is. He's just legally compliant. That's all. He's just a legally compliant snake. That's all.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. It's like, it's very clear he still he really still thinks back on that time of his life. And I feel like he's like, how can I make a Metal Gear? And Sony's like, yes. How much? And there's Fizzant.
I mean, the guy's in a very privileged position of he can probably do whatever the hell he wants.
It's true.
Which means
it's true.
I want to do Fizzant. I want to do this weird thing with Microsoft. And, can you cut me a check for this? And I don't want to do DS3. I think that's kind of where he is.
That's true. I feel like almost all these companies, these publishers show up constantly and is like, you got an idea? We got money. Let's do it. So I do wonder how many he's had to turn down. That would be, if he ever does a book, I'm sure he would, like, when he's done and he retires or whatever, I feel like we might find out more about that process of maybe who he turned down.
He's probably had a lot of buyout offers too that he had to say no to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
He's just he doesn't even have to humor that anymore. Which good for him. DS2 looks good though. Looks very good.
Ooh, I'm ready.
It does look long. I remember the first game, I was just over 100 hours for platinum. But the story is like 35, 40 hours, so it's a lot of extra stuff. But if like the story here is like 70 something hours, then my God, that is gonna be a problem.
The story I think took me about 48 hours to beat. The first one.
Oh wow.
48 hours to beat the story. The first playthrough. And then of course there's all kinds of stuff you do after that. But I'm looking at this as like a 60 to 70 hour game easy, which I'm excited.
Excited for the music too.
Apparently, PS5 Pro. Let's go. This is. I think this is one of those cases where we're going to see the use case of the system. We haven't had as many of them. I think this is going to be it.
This will be a nice pro game. I imagine. It is quite a looker. Quite a looker. There's also a DS2 DualSense controller announced. DualShock or DualSense controller, a Death Stranding 2 variant. Pre-orders for that are going up May 22nd. $85 comes out next to the game. It's like black and it's got just like orange accents. I feel like the DualShock 4 one looked a little bit wackier. If you remember,
yeah, it definitely did. That would definitely look wackier. But I mean, I have enough DualSense controllers. I don't need another one.
I do too. Next up, we have a rumor, as I mentioned previously, about PS5 Pro and PSSR. So this rumor comes from Moore's Law is Dead over on their channel. Now, just to remind folks, he was the one that posted legitimate PS5 Pro documentation from the SDK back before the console came out, and SI actually did take those materials and the video down. So he does clarify with this news that he's not going to show anything this time around on this live stream he did, but he does claim that he has multiple sources on this info. So apparently right now there's a huge PSSR update on the way. A PSSR 2 update is how he's referring to it, although he's not sure if Sony's going to go out of their way to name this thing or make a sort of formal announcement. But right now, PSSR has a minimum resolution requirement of 864p. So apparently they want to try and get the lower minimum down to like what NVIDIA has been able to accomplish with like 720p. So get it a little bit lower, give developers more leverage, more wiggle room to extract more performance out of their games. And ideally, they would want to reach a scenario where a lot of games can start offering high frame rate modes that are in 4K 120 or even 8K 60. And at least for the 4K 120, they want to be able to hit a consistent 120, not that like, 80, 90 area, somewhere around there. This would be highly dependent on the game, obviously, but they're trying to address the latency and overhead issues of the frame rate. And if you recall, we did have this interview with Mark Cerny, speaking with Eurogamer a few months back, where he pretty much said this much kind of already, and that they're working on a big PSSR update for what would be 2026 PS5 Pro titles. So that conversation with Eurogamer was very much him describing the next evolution of PSSR. So presumably that's kind of where this is lining up. So whether it's legitimate info or not, we already know a big update's coming anyway.
Yeah, this is their I mean, this is, to me, I think we're looking at their focus for next gen already. It's going to be this PSSR upscaling with AI. And it's, I mean, we're kind of, if you have a PS5 Pro right now, congratulations, you're pretty much the test bed for this. Like, we're just going, that's what we are. We're early adopters for a system that is better equipped to do a lot of this upscaling. And with these sorts of techniques that they're just developing now through machine learning and very complex models, and there's a lot that goes into it, but it does feel like when we get the hardware for the PS6 on paper, it's going to look like more of a lateral move compared to this massive hardware jump. But I think a lot of it will fall on the side of, hey, look at the upscaling we can do here, to where you don't even really notice. You can't tell, but frame rate's higher. We can shoot for 8K. We can do 4K 120. But a lot of that legwork, I think, is just being done now. So this is the update I'm really curious about, though, Ryan, because what Moore's Law is Dead is talking about here is frame rate as well. Like, that's the thing I think most of us would be able to see better. You know, we had to have Final Fantasy for us to really get close to the TV and see and be like, okay, this it looks cleaner. But if they were like, hey, instead of, it's had a 30 FPS cap this whole time, now because of this, we're able to go to 60 FPS. We would notice that immediately. We'd be like, oh, wow, this looks way better. There's a performance mode here for PSSR. So I think that, to me, hopefully would be the big jump of, now we can do 4K 120 reliably. It just took us 4 years to get to this point. But that's one of the reasons this PSSR thing is so intriguing, because I think we are just getting a glimpse at next gen early and being able to even try it out on the PS5 Pro, which is also one of the reasons I think many of us it's been difficult for us to recommend the PS5 Pro, because we understand that this is very much a early adopter enthusiast device. And this is just kind of showing more of that.
Right. Yeah. And if you remember, that was the Eurogamer conversation was around, well, it was right when FSR4 launched. And that was what Mark was getting at, is that they want to try and achieve similar results to FSR4. And FSR4 actually looked pretty damn good benchmarked to NVIDIA DLSS.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also what he was getting at too in his in this live stream, is that PSSR has been primarily resolution focused. So it is a frame timing overhead they want to try to really tackle. So much to your point, maybe it would eventually get to a point where you see that bump from 60 up to 120 in a 4K image quality neighborhood. I imagine that's like you're getting at a PlayStation 6 thing. I can't imagine we're going to even see that many PS5 Pro titles in like the back half here, like 2026, 27, that are going to really be able to consistently do that. Maybe some of the games that are a bit more modest in scope and budget and the way that they're presented, but it seems like that would be what they're looking to do eventually in by 2028 or so.
Well, the other thing with this, though, Ryan, is I understand if you're a developer right now, optimizing your game, spending time, which is of course money, especially the larger the game, I'm sure the more optimization, the more you have to develop for the PS5 Pro and PSSR. I can't imagine it's the most exciting thing to be like, yes, we are going to be forefront of PSSR, when realistically, how many of the PlayStation 5 user base now, percentage wise, how many do we think have a PS5 Pro? Like, it's not a big percentage, I assume, at this point. Right? It's less than 5%, something like that.
I imagine it's somewhere similar to like what was the Portal metric? The Portal metric, I think, was like 3% of the install base.
Yeah. So think about that now. But then when we go to, I know it's so funny that people talk about next gen already, but I mean, realistically, if it's 2028, we're 3 years away from really talking about it when they do marketing and stuff. But anyway, PS6 would have it at launch. It would be an expected feature. It would be built into the system, we assume. AI upscaling, PSSR 3 or whatever they call it, and developers would have that immediately day one. The entire install size from here on is going to have this. So I think that's when you would really see a lot of this stuff, I guess, be more adopted and just push ahead. And then maybe you do see 4K 120 and the average person's like, yeah, it looks clean. It looks good enough to me. You know, I mean, people, of course, will be like swinging the camera and pretending like they can pixel count and stuff. And, that all happened. But for the most part, the vast majority of people will be like, yeah, this looks good. That'll work.
I mean, it's at the very minimum, at least this stuff's a lot more marketable nowadays than it was even just like 10 years ago. I still find it's so telling when you have a Nintendo of all manufacturers that are like, that's part of their buy line on the Switch 2 reveal. 4K, 120,
4K.
like they're talking about these, what I mean? It's like way more marketable nowadays.
Do you think this is another thing? Sony, they're working on a handheld, according to reports. Do you think their push for the lower resolution numbers, where we're hearing 600, they were throwing resolution like 600 some odd p even out there, some of those numbers, 540p? Think there's anything to that with the handheld of like, could we work some of this stuff into that so that we can have kind of like not have to try to overload it on the spec side, like hardware side? Could we make that work with some sort of upscaling techniques for that screen that might be, maybe it's an 8-inch screen or something, it's 1080p. Could we work stuff up to that even so it still looks really clean, save battery, get better performance in a handheld form factor? Maybe if you do plug it into a TV, it can kick in with upscaling like that, and then it'll give you a decent image there too.
Oh, for sure. I think that's the very clear undertone of this. If we assume the rumor is they're making both these SoCs in tandem, it's very much a Vita PS4 scenario. They're making both these things concurrently. These teams are closely collaborating, and one thing they're doing with Machine 1 is directly influenced with Machine 2, or Device 2, rather. I would think that's almost certainly what they're doing.
Yeah, that would be a very interesting handle. That's one of the reasons I want to see Sony, really a lot of these companies jump in, but definitely Sony. They made some very forward-thinking handhelds, and that seems like a spot where they could really kick things into gear with that. With, I think, still a very sleek-looking system. So it won't be this massive, chunky-looking device. I don't mean to bring up Xbox. Did you see their handheld that was online that leaked out?
Well, that's all, but that's the thing. That's like the problem with that handheld is like that's what another bulky PC manufacturer is doing. Like that's the kind of stuff they make.
Yeah, I know we have the Portal, and you look at that, you're like, okay, it's very functional. It's not their handheld that they would turn in that's native. We assume they would turn in something a bit sleeker looking. But we heard that the Portal was kind of like, I'll say an afterthought, but something they're like, let's see what you can do. We'll throw this at you, smaller budget, whatever you come up with. And they basically broke the dual sense in half and put a screen on there. And it's a very comfortable system to play. But come on, like we know Sony could turn in a better design than that. And that's one of the reasons I want them really into the handheld scene, because I want them to be like, all right, we got to make a system that is mass marketable.
But that's the thing though. The Portal is still like very sleek. I mean, granted, it's obviously not, it doesn't have like massive internals it has to carry. It doesn't have massive cooling it has to worry about. But
yeah.
It's still like a very slender, sleek looking device relative to, if we're comparing it to PC handhelds. I know that's not fair of a comparison to make, but it does look a certain way. I would very much expect this thing's going to be like a beautiful, sexy looking PS Vita 2, basically. I would think. And
that's what I'm hoping for.
And the most exciting prospect to me is like everything will run on this thing, or damn near everything. It depends on, how strict they'll be with the mandate and developer support. That's still completely unknown. But if we assume it's got a compatibility layer for PS4 software, maybe a lot of PS5 stuff, I'm not sure if they have to do a whitelist or blacklist, but PS6 software onward has to have a portable mode, and it's local play, so you don't have to worry about the theatrics of connecting to a remote PS5 or an internet connection. I think it's on paper, it sounds very compelling, even if it might be like by the time it comes out, let's say $600-700. Who knows? It'll be a lot of money.
Be the same price of the system that's next to it at launch, but yeah,
I would think so too. which would be cool too, because it's like, let's say they do mandate it. Every PS6 game has to have a portable mode. You can kind of like pick your poison. Do you want the console or you want the handheld? And it's
That's
like,
actually not a bad idea though to hit both markets like that. Yeah.
and then you could buy the other one whenever you want. And guess what? Your library works. Like it sounds so compelling to me.
You know what? I'll throw out a I'm sure unpopular opinion for this. Okay. I do not mind Sony with this handheld. Let's say it's coming later on so many years. Would not mind if they don't keep testing how much bigger can we make a screen for a portable device.
Well, I thought you said you wanted it to be small.
I do. That's what I'm saying. I look at things like the first Switch was that a 6.3 inch screen or something?
That was 6.7.
6 point. Well, the OLED now that I have is a 7-inch screen, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, that's kind of pushing it still. I don't mind if they have like this 6.5, 6. I don't mind if it's a smaller screen, if it's more portable, then if it's more pocketable. I understand the smaller you make the system, the less it adds up in people's minds to maybe a $600 price tag. I don't mind the return of the pocketable system.
You were right, 6.2 inches. Close to it. 6.2.
I was close.
Yeah.
I was close. I don't mind that. I know it might be unpopular because people are like, I want the 10-inch screen at 1440p. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I wouldn't be opposed to having an 8-inch, 9-inch screen or whatever, but I don't know. The pocketable system used to be, it's pretty awesome to see little systems be able to do that kind of stuff.
We have a product for you, John. It's called the Vita.
I already have a couple of them. I have those.
I would think that like you got this thing has to be big just for battery life.
It's going to be big. I understand. Yeah, it's not going to be a little system. Although I guess the Switch 2 would be the comparable at that point.
I want to be able to do a run on Returnal and it not die before I get to the boss. That's what I want.
What world that would be.
Got to think about these things. Got to think about it. All right, we have the other big Band-Aid rip from Microsoft. We got to talk about it. Gears of War. Gears of War Reloaded, confirmed for PS5 coming August 26th for $39.99, $40, but only the first game. Includes all the DLC, but only the first game. 4K resolution, 60 FPS in the campaign, 120 in the multiplayer, and also local 2-player co-op, code developed by the Coalition, Sumo Interactive, and Disbelief. And guess what, John? PS Store has confirmed DualSense support, haptics triggers, and PS5 Pro. You'll be able to play the best console version of this game on PlayStation.
There it is. And you can get the platinum.
Wild. And you can get a platinum too, probably, if they don't goof it up. I don't know. I mean, we knew it was coming, but...
Yeah, we did. It still was weird because I found out about this from PlayStation. They popped up on my X Twitter X account, and it was like, there it is. Oh wow, okay, Gears of War. There it is. They're announcing it. Sony's announcing Gears of War for the PlayStation.
That is how I saw it too. I woke up and it was the first thing on my timeline, and it's like I wasn't shocked at the announcement, but I was like shocked that like the way I saw it was indeed from PlayStation social media.
It looks weird.
It was very weird, very very weird. Although, you know, what's telling though is like I think it's more of a Microsoft thing. They just are not touching 2 and 3. What's up with that?
Yeah, it's really weird, isn't it? Because I feel like that's 2 definitely needs to be brought up, and then 3, yes, to complete the little trilogy they had there. But that is weird. The only thing I think of is they do have plans to do that, and I mean, you got to do the first one for PlayStation, so. Let's get that moving because it is a free upgrade for Gears of War Ultimate if you have that digitally on the Xbox, or of course, if you have Game Pass, you can just download it, you know. Right. There was also discussion or rumors that this might only be physical on the PlayStation.
Yeah, so I do have an update there. Did you see that? So that came from a Spanish retailer.
Mm-hmm.
They the listing's down and they deleted all their tweets.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening. Now, initially, that would have been weird. Like, oh, here's the physical listing, PC code in a box, and PlayStation. Here's the thing, though, John. Like, it's weird, but it's also not because like that is an audience that would want it physically. Not to say Xbox wouldn't want it, but like it's a sheer numbers game. Like the audience it leans very digital on Xbox,
Oh, you're right. You're right.
When it's on Game Pass, they're just not going to hardly sell any. So at first I was like, okay, I mean, I'll take a disc, obviously, but I don't think it's happening.
That's a shame because I would want to get it on the PlayStation just to have the PS5 logo at the top and then Gears of War cover it. It looks so weird. Like, I don't know how long it'd take me to get over that. It'd be a while. You can't turn off crossplay. Apparently, you can't do that.
Oh, you can't turn it off.
Apparently, you can't. You can't turn off crossplay, and that's gonna be interesting to see how that goes. And there's cross progression and everything, which is pretty cool.
Oh, okay. Well, you do. I assume you have to log into a Microsoft account, right?
Yes, that's how it's going to work. Yep. So they'll, of course, they'll farm their monthly active users there. But that's cross progression is kind of cool. Be able to go between Xbox, PlayStation, or PC with your save data.
Yeah, not too bad.
Oh, and your online, I guess, handle and stuff too, moving around. So
that is the one of four horsemen there. To me, it's like Fable, Forza, Gears, Halo, So it's like we got Forza, got Gears.
Halo coming soon.
But do you think it's like the full collection, or you think they're going to piecemeal it and try and monetize it?
If I had to take a guess what they're going to do with Halo, I think they're going to do the Halo Master or the Halo Combat Evolved remake. I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think they're going to do the Master Chief Collection. Well, it'd be kind of cool if they did because it has all of them there already, and it's an awesome pickup then, even at full price. I think it's worth it. But I think they're going to do that. I think we're going to get a Halo Combat Evolved remake in Unreal Engine, and they're just going to release it again on the Xbox, maybe some kind of upgrade path there, I guess, for Master Chief Collection. Or they'll just, hey, it's in Game Pass. There you go. But then on PlayStation, they'll sell it probably for $40, and that'll be their method of getting things moving with Halo. So I think we're kind of looking at the path for Halo here with Gears of War.
Well, that is the rumor, right? Is that they're going to remake Combat Evolved? So maybe that.
I think they've been doing it. I think they've been doing it. I think it's going to happen.
That was like with that big announcement for the studio renaming and moving to Unreal Engine. It was like, oh, what's?
I mean, I think they're years. I think they're years in development for this Halo Unreal Engine remake. Like, I wouldn't be shocked. It sounds crazy. Wouldn't be shocked if they announced it next month.
Well, we discussed that before, right? Like this thing's expected maybe this year.
Yeah, I mean, I heard the thing that's so weird, and this is where the wires get crossed. Originally, it was like, oh, Master Chief Collection's coming over. And then we hear more and more about this remake, and I'm like, are we sure it's Master Chief Collection, or is it this remake? And it's just, you hear Halo Combat Evolves coming over, so you go, oh, it's Master Chief Collection as well. I think Halo's coming over in some way. And the thing that made me think it might be announced at their summer showcase that's next month is the fact that they showed up on X one day and said Gears of War is coming to PlayStation. Here it is. Because that seems like something you would just save for that. It's not out till August. So it's like, all right, you got a couple months. And who knows? It might not even be physical anyway. It might just be a digital distribution. But the fact that Gears isn't there makes me wonder if Halo is.
Right. It's weird. That is a good point. I don't know why they didn't like save it for something.
Well, also, I think that showcase, it's funny because it's Xbox supposed to be, right? I think you're going to see logos from all over the place. You're going to see PlayStation's logo there. You're going to see the Switch 2 logo there. And it might be the sense of, let's get Gears of War out now. Let's get that moving because there's going to be a lot of stuff that's just going to get announced for all different platforms next month. So let's get this moving now.
Right. Well, there you go. Gears is coming.
Picking up PlayStation? We getting it? You getting it?
Well, it's digital, John. I mean, I wouldn't be caught dead paying $40 for a digital game. So
Game Pass it is.
This either has to be like $10 on PSN, like heavily discounted, or it has to have a disc.
So, got it.
That's kind of where I am on that. But Gears.
Well, if there's a disc, you'll be picking it up, right?
If it gets a disc, yes, I think I would do it. Also depends on how they do it, though. If it's like an LRD,
what if the disc is 65 megabytes?
John, I will lose my shit. I'll go postal. Here's the thing. I didn't include that as news, but I mean that like it's the thing they're doing, and it's kind of infuriating. They only printed 20 gigs on Indiana Jones. They printed 85 megabytes on Doom: The Dark Ages, and it's just I don't know, it's bizarre, especially because its software has been kind of hit or miss with their own physical prints anyway, and that's like even prior to the acquisition from Microsoft. So sometimes they don't really they have online requirements or a Bethesda.net requirement, or they don't have the full game on there. So they've kind of always been doing shit like this, but it's just a growing trend with a lot of publishers, and it's just bogus. We have 100 gigabyte discs on PlayStation 5. Blu-rays are generally, to replicate them, like a few dollars versus these very expensive Switch 2 cards. I just don't. There's not many excuses, I find. Print the full
I think
game
with the Xbox, they only have 50 gigabyte discs, so they're probably thinking it's not going to fit anyway on one. We're not going to ship with two because it's like an extra 50 cents. What do we look like here, Microsoft? So they're going to then go ahead and they're just going to go ahead and put 85 megabytes on the disc and ship it. And that's that. That's how they're going to, it's the same delivery method across the board.
Well, like what the fuck was the point of what 20 gigs for Indiana? Like you had 20 gigs ready? You had 20 ready.
You can play some of it while it downloads.
Well, what was the thought process there? And like logistically, sure, it's probably a matter of like, what do you have ready to? Okay, that's fine. Send it to like start pressing now, because obviously anything after the fact can go server side. Like I get that, but it's always so stringently tied to deadlines. Here's a release date. You have to hit it because there's a marketing cycle that has to. I get all of that, but I mean, Jesus Christ, it can't be that hard to align this just a tad better so you have a gold master. It's just a waste. Why replicate Blu-rays if you're not going to use the space?
I think you answered it earlier when you said that they don't really have an audience for their platform that's physical. They see their platform. It's almost all digital at this point. That's just kind of how it is for them, I guess.
But that's the thing. It's fine for your hardware if that's how you are, conditioning your customers. But when you start shipping on competing platforms, and those are buyers with different habits, and they're super different habits. Like I know we just went over the fiscal report where it's 76% digital for this fiscal year, but it's like that's highly dependent on a game by game basis. Astrobot was half physical, physical for Astrobot. I mean, there's a market there. It's small, but I don't know. Maybe that's why nobody pays me to do this, because I would be making the wrong decisions.
You'd be eating the costs on everything and printing like 2 or 3 million Blu-ray discs per release.
Shareholders would be like, well, what do you mean you wasted 10% on like the cost? I'm like, well, I had to replicate 2 Blu-rays. Indiana Jones is 120. I had to make 2 Blu-rays for this game, and I also had to increase the weight of a double layer 2-disc Blu-ray case shipping to retailers. I'm sorry, but we had to eat 10% on that. And I get fired.
Well, you get voted out pretty quick, probably.
That's fine. At least I got one printout before they fire me.
I mean, they'd give you the golden parachute, so.
Well, if I had one, yeah. We do have other semi-Microsoft adjacent news. This was from Bilbo Kuhn. I guess
Xbox podcast. What is this?
I know. Well, this one's surprising, right? So Sony is preparing a Call of Duty Black Ops 6 bundle.
Yep.
Jesus. Base console is going to get digital and disc release date. I can't talk tonight. Release date and pricing unknown, but they do think it's going to be the typical 400-450 setup. So just like another, game or code in a box bundle. Just surprising in that we kind of thought this was over, right? They acquire ABK. It's like, hey, we're no longer doing any sort of, this isn't really exclusive per se, but they made it pretty clear that, there was going to be no special treatment for any competitors. But I think when you're Microsoft and you kind of don't give a shit anymore and you just want to make money, you kind of just let them keep doing that.
Yeah, there's a contract in place. Sony's giving them money for it's not like it's Microsoft's like, here, you can just have these Call of Duties for free to no, there's money obviously changing hands to make that happen. Yeah. So in their mind, it's like, all right, whatever, sure, we're just going to sell Call of Duty on your platform later anyway this year. So let's get more people on board. The interesting thing though is we just talked about the potential for price increases. Here comes this bundle with Call of Duty at $450 and $500, and it's like, What was the price again?
400, 450.
400 and 450. And it's like, what? We went the wrong way there. Well, the right way, but you know what I mean? Like with whatever thing on the market's saying. So I'm a little iffy on that price because that sounds like one that could just randomly change and show up at 450 and 5. Like they're like, oh no, now it's 450 and 500. They get Call of Duty. Okay, that's enough. So they I mean, I like the idea of like this is the idea, cheaper bundles, you know? It's like, well, okay, let's see if we can get more people on board. I don't know. That price is to me is very tentative, very up in the air.
If that is the pricing and you're still in the market for a PS5, I can't say that's a bad deal.
No, you might want to make the move on that.
In fact, I think if you are looking into PlayStation 5 right now, well, actually, if we assume they won't raise the price for at least another 3 months based on stockpiling, that would mean that we get to the Days of Play sale, which is always in June. So they might run deals on controllers and consoles. So that might be your like last opportunity to get some kind of like decent sale on a PS5.
Yeah, that's start planning out soon. Yeah, you wait till the holiday. Who knows what's going to happen this year?
Yep. And in other Call of Duty adjacent news, very quick little thing here, but the FTC lost their appeal to the appeal to stop the ABK deal, if you remember that. So the Federal Trade Communication lost its appeal in their case against the $69 billion acquisition because they did file the appeal immediately back in 2023, right when it was about to close.
Yeah, I mean, did they think that they were...
No.
If they tried to rip Activision Blizzard and Microsoft apart now, like Activision Blizzard would just die. Like, like Microsoft's laid off tens of thousands of people, like since that's happened. Not necessarily just from Activision, but like in general across Microsoft. And you know that like some of that personnel was swept up in it. It's to the point now where they're so conjoined. I don't know how you would separate them.
It's one of those things though, where it's like hindsight's everything. I don't think anybody like really knew like 2 years on this is what it would be. It's like, oh yeah, Call of Duty's the big concern. Well, actually, it's not. We have a bundle, a 10-year deal was signed, and also they're getting all their IP anyway. It's kind of crazy how that works, but they lost their appeal. You know what? That's actually most of the stories I got here, John.
Okay. You want to hit us with the PSX going to give it to you?
I do. We got a PSX going to give it to you, which is the topic of the show where we go over something nostalgic, cool, maybe an interesting little factoid throughout PlayStation history. Just teach the children something they might have not known about PlayStation. Because we had Doom: The Dark Ages come out, I thought we would talk about Doom for PS1 because Doom did get a PlayStation 1 edition back in 1995. It runs a modified version of the Doom engine. It's actually from the Jaguar version, if I remember correctly. And it has 28 levels from Ultimate Doom, and then 23 from Doom 2 and 8 original levels. It doesn't have local multiplayer, which is really weird, but you can system link. So you can link two PS1 consoles to play Doom, which is kind of goofy. And the other weird factoid about the Doom version is that you cannot use the PS1 mouse because Sony had a PlayStation 1 mouse accessory, which, shocking enough, the PS1 mouse supports like over 100 games. There's over 100 PS1 games that use the mouse. It's like a lot of the PC ports, a lot of the simulators and things like that on PS1. So like the A-Train games and all that good stuff. But the Doom 95 PS1 port, I'm pretty sure you can't use a mouse, but Final Doom you can, and that came out the following year. So the Doom PS1 version I found always interesting because it's like not a bad version of the game at all. Because Doom's on like a billion goddamn things basically. Yeah. Your fridge can probably play it, and Doom has a standard jewel case version, but it was released during that time where you can buy a big old fat PS1 long box. And damn, that thing looks gorgeous. I got it on my shelf. I should have pulled it down before we started the show, but Doom does.
Like, there's a video of it here. That's cool.
Yeah, dude. It's weird though. You can't do local multiplayer, but you can system link to PS1s and play Doom. And it doesn't support.
Awesome.
No, it doesn't support the mouse though. Does not support the mouse. It's one of the like early first person shooter games on console that like has controls that are not like just god awful. Like it's still pretty usable with like the D-pad, you
Mhm.
know.
What do I
It's
need to? What's the PlayStation Link cable? Look at that. That's
yeah.
cool. Oh, this is probably difficult to find, huh?
The link cable, I don't know. I haven't looked into it in a while. Did I? I recently got the mouse. I got the mouse
Did
complete in
you
box.
really?
It's complete.
Oh, dude, that's cool.
It's complete in box, and like it comes with the mouse pad too. The mouse pad is super clean. It's like
Really?
somebody barely used it. I gotta like find some kind of like video to do with that thing because it's just preserved so beautifully. But I can't play Doom with it.
Okay, wait. I think I found it. Oh, this was getting pennied out at like a GameStop. It was 89 cents for the original box that was marked on.
For the link cable.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
funny. Okay, they got some of the cables up for like $30
30. I
for the
would
PS1 link cable.
I would think they're like dirt cheap because it's like I don't
I don't
know.
think so. Doesn't look like it. Looks like they're. I mean, I guess they're serial cables, but they're kind of specialized, I guess, for Sony. This one has like the PlayStation logo on and everything. PlayStation branded.
Yeah, if it's like OEM, then it's probably going to command a little bit of a premium.
Yeah, it looks like they're. Yeah, it looks like they're about 30 for that. That's an interesting thing to look into. That's kind of cool. Just some of the
Yeah,
system link capabilities of it.
we kind of need to like set up two PS1s, and I mean like PS1 where they spell it out. Get the flip screen. Do some like
Yeah, that would actually be pretty funny.
yeah,
Get
yeah.
the like the sit them back to back so you can't see each other's screens, but you can see each other.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's it. So you can make eye contact with your opponent.
Yeah,
Oh, it's almost
take them out too.
like battleships almost. Yeah,
Oh, dude, that'd be awesome.
that'd be
That's
sick.
cool. I know because I know the PS2 obviously had that because you'd see it for Gran Turismo, like all this stuff where they're linking these things together. That's fun though to have like a link cable for. Although I do wonder how often it was really used back in the day.
Can't imagine it was used a lot. But
Getting
you could
two
do it.
two getting two tube TVs in one room was a feat on its own.
Right. Yeah. It's a hassle and a half, I would say. How long is the link cable? I actually don't know how long it is.
Let's
Because
see. It is.
reasonably, if it's like very long, I mean, you could do like a
Yeah.
bedroom to bedroom kind of thing.
I don't think it's that long. I think this thing's probably like 6 feet.
Oh man, they really said get that tube TV in here.
It is not. This does not. It does not. I mean, they're all bundled up. It does not look like a long cable. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. So
There's
no,
not a lot of space there.
you're gonna set this up like a regular LAN party. You're gonna get these things really close together.
Yep. Yep.
Mm.
Look into that. I gotta look up all the games that support the link cable. That's kind of cool.
Oh, I don't know about the link cable, but the mouse is like it's crazy that there's like that many PS1 games that support a mouse. It's like it's well over 100. Well
Wow.
over
Really?
yeah, well over 100 PS1 games support that mouse. It's like
There's the little Sony mouse.
it's all the PC stuff usually because like a lot of 95 PC games and a little bit prior to that, and some I think DOS stuff as well. Some like if it got a PS1 port, they usually took advantage of it.
You doing a video on? Oh, here's the Mad Cats one. Let's go.
Oh, don't, John. Gross.
Are you doing a video on the PS1 mouse?
No, like I said, I gotta like think of something I can do. I don't really have a lot of PS1 mouse games, but like I've got one that's in such good condition. Like I gotta like do something with it probably because it looks so clean.
Okay. That is PSX going to give it to you. Shout out to Ryan. Did not know that. I will look more into that. It's really cool stuff. But that is also, I think that's everything. Good, Ryan? All right. Good stuff. We will be following this up with some of our thoughts around the last couple episodes for The Last of Us on HBO. So look out for that video. That way we don't spoil anything for you guys here during Click R3, number 23. But otherwise, we'll be back in a couple of weeks to do it all over again. We'll see you guys then.